And we're back, CT. Welcome
Welcome back.
to welcome to week 4. This is our fourth week in season doing this. We had a little preseason podcast, but this is where it gets fun. It starts separating the contenders and the pretenders going into week 4. So, uh, how are you doing?
Good man, just living the dream. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm sitting at 2-1, and so are you. We're number 1 and 2 in points, so that it definitely could be worse.
That's yes, amen, brother. Well, I've got last week's matchups pulled up. You want to start here?
Yeah, let's hit some of the matchups from last week. We won't go into every single one, but let's start with the blowout out of the week. What does it say? Oh, wow, that happens to be my matchup. Nice.
Wow, even after you scored less than 100 points.
Scored less than 100. 100 is kind of the mark where you're definitely gonna have a chance to win, and I didn't even clip that. Um,
Oh, what do you
so
know?
my
I picked you.
so my
Damn,
notes. Oh, nice. My notes on this one were the score was 96 to 69. Nice. Uh,
nice.
I actually felt like my team played very poorly because I got 35 points from Thursday, and then you have to wait Friday, Saturday, and then the rest of your team plays, and I only got 23 points from everyone not named Hertz on Sunday. So you can see a lot of duds. DJ Moore 1, Saint Brown 7 is okay. Uh, Bateman 3. My kicker got me 9. He was like the best player I had on Sunday. But good old Jalen Hurts saved my ass and got me the 38 points. So Shmi kind of had a typical, the same kind of day of Jared Allen put up a lot, or Josh Allen, not Jared Allen. He's long gone. Josh Allen put up a ton of points, but then the rest of his cast just kind of did nothing on Sunday. A goose egg from Thomas Burks only put up 1. So not Shmi's best effort. But I'm glad I got the victory, and it ended up being a blowout just from Chubb and Hurts. They've kind of been carrying my team through 3 weeks, and they did it again in week 3. So suck it, Shmi.
What's crazy is it would have been an even bigger blowout had you started the number one player,
Yeah,
Lamar.
got another 12 points.
Yeah, yeah.
I
So
don't know why I didn't start him against New England. I think because I thought Washington had a worse defense, and they've been getting picked apart lately, but both of them did well, and so I'm glad I didn't, and I won. You always hate having that in the back of your conscience of like, oh, I picked the wrong guy, but
mhm.
it really didn't matter. And I think I added it up. The bonkers last play of Thursday night game, like I love to see it, and I loved seeing like Shmi like fall to his knees and like basically start crying about it. But that 10-point swing didn't even matter. So
No, I didn't. That was big at the time, but
it was.
so all right. Well, let's go back to the list, and we also had a couple of real close games last week.
Yeah, I got Jack versus RO as the next matchup I want to try and break down 72 to 71. Um, my notes for this are both were projected at 103, and then look what they did, like 30 points less. And it came down to a kicker on Sunday Night Football. RO would have been better not starting a defense than
Oh
the
wow.
the LAC defense against. I put Jacksonville question mark, like are they good now? That's crazy that -4 from there and -4 from them, and he still wins by a point. Monty doesn't get hurt though. Jack, easily wins it. Monty was pulled after the first quarter, so that's just some bad luck. But in a low scoring matchup, Cooper scored the most points out of everybody on Thursday night. So it's kind of crazy. You get a good game Thursday, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to put up a ton of points, and then that happened to be the best guy on both teams was that Thursday night. I put the shiniest of the two turds matchup, and RO was the victor. Congrats and sends Jack, who I really thought was a great contender in this league, sends him to 0-3.
Yeah, I the big surprises as well. And although I will say, Jack did luck out just a little bit. RO had Cook get hurt. in the middle of that game, and so
I
he
think
could
that
have
was
gone
later.
over.
It was later
Yeah,
in the
but
game, though.
still think he probably would have gone over 100 yards and gotten the bonus, and so
That's true.
you know, and the Monty going out early, that, you know, who knows how that would have, how that impacted him, because that game was close.
Herbert getting so
Herbert
many
ran a
points
lot.
after, you know, Herbert, not Justin Herbert, the K Herbert, Khalil Herbert, yeah, him getting so many points, you would have thought Monty would have gotten some of that, and I think Jack
Yeah.
probably would have pulled it out. But
Yeah.
72-71, what a win. RO will
What a
take it.
win. What a win. And at the same time, I think Taylor lost putting up 96. So
Yeah. I had that week 1, so I feel for you, Taylor. I had 102 points and lost. So
yeah.
And
All right,
you had 1 week 2 as well. I think you put up.
I had 100 last week, or I had 100 in week 2 and lost to you.
Yep.
So, all right. So then the other close one.
West versus Scales.
It was projected to be a 1-point game.
That's crazy. Yahoo's
Wow.
like the new Vegas, just gets everything right on. My notes for it were butt punt cost Scales a W, still in the basement with Jack at 0-3, sends West to the only 3-0 start despite averaging 87.6 points per week. The stat correction on a blocked punt gives Scales the loss after Sunday night. He was leading. I remember looking at everyone's matchups, and I couldn't believe Scales pulled it out by 1 point. Wake up the next day and the freaking stat correction. Like, I can't think of a worse way to lose. Both teams underperformed as both quarterbacks were 13 points or under. Kind of another gross matchup like the one that we just looked at. But congrats to Wes that Yahoo took a look at that Buffalo tape and took the blocked punt off.
Yeah. And I think Wes won in spite of Connor. I think he got hurt and was taken out midway through that game. But yeah, it was a very close matchup coming down to the wire. I remember checking it Monday morning and seeing that Wes had won, and did not realize it was because of the butt punt.
Funny. I mean, I feel bad for Scales. Like, you never want to lose on a stat correction. And I mean, Wes has to be, ecstatic that, and it's always great to win on a stat correction, but the fact that it was that play too with the butt punt was, I mean, he still did get points from it because it was a safety, but they just didn't give him the block punt.
At least they caught it early enough, not like, later in the week after, maybe after a couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
So
those were kind of the other matchups were meh. I only went 1-5 last week on predicting. So if I pick your team, that means you're probably going to lose.
Oh, great. Which matchup did you get right last week?
I picked your matchup.
Okay, there you go. So
you did beat Taylor. So do you want to break down the standings real quick? Do you have any interesting notes with the standings or any trades that have been going on in the league?
Yeah, we can both. So surprised, Wes is at 3-0. I thought his team was going to be mediocre, and I think it's proven that out with, he's only scored 263 points, but has kind of lucked into a couple wins. At the same time, real surprised by Jack being 0-3.
Mm-hmm.
That, I think even with Herbert's injury, he's still played, and just kind of did not expect that. One other thing I want to point out, so I see RO down here at 1-2.
Mm-hmm.
He's scored the same amount of points as Wes has.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at the current projections, RO is projected to go 11-3. So you can see RO going 10-1 the rest of the way.
Sorry, someone was at my door.
Oh, you're good.
He's projected 11-3.
And he's 1-2, so RO might go 10-1 the rest of the way.
Dang, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
That means he'd beat me this week, so that's probably a good sign.
You could be the one loss. So, but yeah, not a whole lot of, aside from kind of Wes being where he is and Jack being where he is, not a lot of surprises. I think everyone's still kind of in this muddied middle of 2-1 or 1-2. No one's out of it yet.
Right. There's an ugly 2-1 though. That 240 second lowest points of the league, and it's got 2 wins.
Yeah,
That's brutal.
that is. So, and at the same time, Jack leads the league in points against. It's never a category you want to lead the league in. So I think that's partly why he is 0-3, but I think brighter days are ahead for his team.
I kept thinking that this was my team. I was like, oh, I have the second most points against, but that's you.
Oh yeah,
because it has you highlighted.
Yeah. Speaking of, so you asked about trades. There was a big trade that went down this week. Pull it up here. So I dealt James Robinson, Mark Andrews, and Christian Kirk for King Henry, Dalton Schultz, and Juju. What do you think, Jerry?
Obviously, I think you got the best player in the trade with Henry, but who knows what Tennessee's offense is going to do. It was great to see that he had a good game last week, because those first 2 weeks, I thought Tennessee was going to be maybe a mess, and that division isn't very good, but they could be playing for something down the stretch. So you could have Henry, as long as he stays healthy, for a long time. Robinson, maybe a flash in the pan, but Jacksonville's playing well. So he may be pretty fantasy relevant, the whole year. And I mean, Mark Andrews is one of the best tight ends in the league. I don't know. I definitely think you still came out on top, but I don't think it was awful for Nels. I think it was pretty fair.
Yeah, I thought it was a fair trade. It was hard to give up Andrews and Kirk. But I felt like I was playing with house money since I spent $1 on Robinson in the draft. And then
Right.
I think I spent $3 on Kirk. So it was nice to kind of cash those chips in for someone who I really wanted preseason, but I knew I kind of wouldn't have an opportunity to pay the money for if I ended up with McCaffrey. So anyways, I kind of like it now, and I like the team setup, but we'll have to follow this one and see, how it works out as the season goes along. And if Andrews continues being the top tight end and Tennessee keeps feeding King Henry, it could work out for both teams pretty well.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, you didn't pay a lot for him, so that's great for you. But the way these teams are going, I wouldn't be surprised if the 3 that Nels got put up the same or more points than the 3 that you got. I mean, I know you don't want to hear that, but just the way they're playing and being used, who knows?
Yeah, I know. I thought long and hard about keeping those guys and not making the deal. So I'm glad I did, and we'll see why when we look at matchups. But I think the trade was fair, and even if I get outscored a little bit going on, I think I like my team set up better now than before.
Oh, for sure. And we'll go over that when we get into matchups. But I think that was a great breakdown of week 3 and some of the stuff that transpired. So do we want to go into matchups in the next video?
Yeah, let's do it. See
Awesome.
y'all in a little bit.
All righty.